that.
Right. Absolutely. Now, we're hearing a lot of, strum and dang or whatever. I don't even know what that saying is, but there's a lot of turmoil in the Republican Party about, what the plans are, and they've spent $25 million. There's two scenarios. There's scenario one where Trump gets 1237, I think is the number that he needs to enter the convention, where he's got the majority of delegates, and theoretically those delegates stay with him and they vote for him in the first round of the convention voting. The other situation is where he doesn't. And so in the first round of voting, nobody gets 50% won. Here is Reince Priebus, who, if there's ever been a guy who's in over his head,
it's been fun to watch, hasn't it?
He's on the Hannity program, getting grilled by Sean Hannity. When you're sweating it with Sean Hannity, you got a problem if you're a Republican. Here he is discussing the Trump prospects, and Hannity's saying one thing, and Priebus is saying another. And so I think this tells the story of what's going to happen within the next 3 to 4 months, I guess. Hannity is saying if Trump comes in there with 1,100 delegates or 1,226, let's say, or 1,230, he should still get the nomination. And Priebus is saying, yes, except for he won't, because we won't do it that way. And so here is that exchange right now.
Mr. Chairman, I hope you're not in this position, but if there's an effort by the establishment to try and undermine and create a consensus candidate, as John Boehner said, anybody can be nominated on the convention floor, and I want Paul Ryan to get it. If that happens, I would argue that Cruz and Trump supporters will walk out and you won't see them again. I hope that doesn't happen.
You know what? The first ballot is going to be very important, because on the first ballot is when all the bound delegates vote.
If the number one delegate getter and the
I understand what you're saying,
the number one vote getter doesn't get the nomination, they're going to walk out if there's shenanigans that go on. That's my admonition, and I'm not saying you're responsible.
But it's not about. But Sean, it's not a matter of the number one vote getter. It is, you have to have a majority of delegates to be the nominee. There's nothing nefarious about that. You have to have the majority.
If you take it from somebody that has a huge lead, it will be ugly.
There you have it.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like that right there, that little interview, because it's sort of a microcosm of the entire experience of the Republican Party over the last 20 years, as the loudmouths like Sean Hannity have gotten to the point where they have more power than the party officials, like, as Charlie Pierce calls him, obvious anagram, Reince Priebus. He's always been in over his head. He says the most ridiculously silly things, and when he tweets things out about it, it's funny as hell, actually. But he's done. There's nothing they can do. I mean, I'm not saying anything that hasn't been said 1,000 times now, which is they created this. At some point, somebody was going to take the costume off and just admit that they were racist, and admit that they had fascist tendencies, and admit that they thought women were still inferior, and all these things. They were going to do that and not use the subtle language that the party has been using more increasingly for years and years and years. First about race, but then about many other issues too. And that's Donald Trump, because he doesn't care about any of this crap, and he's not the kind of guy that's going to, shrink from Sean Hannity.
Right.
I mean, if that's who it is.
Hi, I'm Sam Seder, and this is an Ann Coulter doll.
You should not be immigrating here. Yeah. Stay in your country and hate us.
For smart progressive talk and a little bit of this and even a little bit of that.
Mission accomplished.
Subscribe to our podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and like us on Facebook to get some of our best video clips.